Hello everyone, Victor here. In this video we're going to take a look at an in-depth tutorial on AsciiDoc, and we're going to cover these questions. Starting off, what is AsciiDoc and what is it used for? The home page of AsciiDoc has a nice explanation of this, and it says AsciiDoc is a text document format for writing notes, documentation, articles, books, ebooks, slideshows, web pages, main pages, and blogs. AsciiDoc files can be converted to many formats, including HTML, PDF, EPUB, and man page. And it's highly configurable. So yeah, seems like a nice text display programming language. And as you can see in an example here, you have the AsciiDoc code or source text, as it's mentioned here, and for this example they've converted it to HTML. And you can see the HTML output here, yeah, it's obvious that it's a very simple code that you can write to create pretty complex formatting. So seems like a great option for this type of formatting. The next question we'll take a look at is there a difference between AsciiDoc and AsciiDoctor? To help us answer this, we go to the AsciiDoctor website, which informs us that AsciiDoctor reads text written in the AsciiDoc syntax, so AsciiDoc came first, and AsciiDoctor is built on top of this AsciiDoc syntax. But we have to be careful because there are actually differences in the syntax between the two. But AsciiDoctor is generally has more support and more features than AsciiDoc does. It's sort of a version 2.0, if you will, but different folks still like to stick with AsciiDoc for their own reasons. So there are potential benefits with either. One further note on the difference between the two. AsciiDoc is actually based on Python code, and AsciiDoctor is based on Ruby code. So depending on limitations of your environment, one may be better than the other for that reason as well. Now on to the next topic. The question, what companies or organization are currently using AsciiDoc and AsciiDoctor? And one of the more popular companies that's known to use AsciiDoctor is GitHub, which uses it in its documentation pages, as well as O'Reilly Media, a famous media company. Also has a lot of books and ebooks using AsciiDoc, and as well as most of the Git project system is also using AsciiDoc, and we all know Git is the language, the platform that uses that allows folks to use version control in their software creation. So a very famous company as well that is using that. And a question might come up, can I use AsciiDoc even if I'm not a good coder? And my opinion on that is that yes, most folks should be able to pick it up fairly easily, since there is very good documentation online, and in addition, you can see that it is a fairly simple coding required. For example, if you want to make a title on as a title for your overall page, it's just one equal sign, and that's pretty much it. And two equal signs for a subheading, and so on. It's fairly straightforward. So definitely think anybody can pick it up. Next, we're going to discuss how do you convert an ASCII doc to a PDF. So the easiest way to do that is actually to go to this website here, AsciiDoc.live.com, and you can enter all of your ASCII doc formatted text here, and then you'll see in the right the compiled ASCII doc format, and to convert to PDF, you can click the Save button and export as HTML. Then you've just downloaded an HTML file, so we'll go ahead and open that up. Now we see our HTML version of our ASCII doc text. Now we can simply print as a PDF using your system's PDF converter. Then we'll be able to save that. Now just to show you how that looks. Now we have our ASCII doc text eventually converted to PDF. And another way to do it, which will provide other features as well, is to install ASCII Doctor. And to do that, you'll have to install Ruby, then run the command. We'll get this in plain view here. We run the following command: gem install ASCII Doctor. Then you'll be able to run the following command to convert the ASCII doc directly to PDF without having to convert to HTML first. So you'll basically load you'll basically run these two commands, and that will be able to convert your ASCII doc to a PDF as shown in the screenshot. Next, let's take a look at how we can add an image to an ASCII doc. So we'll find our favorite image online, and we can place the URL there. And as you can see, it shows up in ASCII doc there, and we can also change the width and height to whatever we would want as well. As you can see by the output here. Another question you might have is there a way to add a watermark or a logo to each page of an ASCII doc? And yes, in fact there is, and I'll show you a demonstration here. So back to the AsciiDoc Live website for the demonstration. You'll have a document with some content that we'll just replace with a bunch of A's for now. And then you can actually align the content to the right, and then declare your image in the similar fashion to what we did before, except now we have a new link that just is a picture of a sample logo, and then we can go on to our next page, which will have more content we made up. And then we can put our logo in the similar fashion to what we did in the previous page at the end of this page. So now when we go to convert our content to a PDF in a similar fashion to how we did before, by converting to HTML and now saving as a PDF. We can see that we can see that our logo has been able to appear here at the bottom right of each page and within our PDF. Now, you might also ask, how do you create a table of contents? This is also fairly simple in AsciiDoc, and the way we can do that is, yes, we have our table of contents header here, our title. Then we specify an anchor, and when we click on that anchor, it brings us to that anchor's location, which happens to be here at the top of section 1. And as another example, we can do the same thing with a second section, and when we click on section 2, it brings us down to the second anchor below. Another thing you might want to be interested in doing is adding a table, and the way to do that is the following code here, and it automatically generates the table number, which is nice. And if we wanted to add more tables, you can see that the table numbers change, which makes it a lot easier to organize. And yeah, so this is the format that you need to get the table going. Pretty straightforward. Next, we're going to take a look at how you could add a style sheet or template to your AsciiDoc, and I've put together an example here that makes that work. So you can actually embed HTML with these 4+ signs and then ending the next 4+ signs. And one HTML option is to change the CSS styling. So everything under the body tag will now have this background color. As another example, any HTML tag of P will have the color red, and as you can see, all the text has changed to red because if we look at the HTML version of it, all that text is in a P tag. So yeah, that's how you can, and then you can customize this style section however you want to add styling for all of your headers and any images and so on to get it the way you like. And as we can see, AsciiDoc is pretty flexible, and one more thing it can actually do is you can use JavaScript within these AsciiDocs as well. And to show you an example of how that can work, as before, we add our 4+ signs before and after our HTML to show HTML. Then we can use JavaScript within this HTML code section, and we have a button that will say click me, and when we click that button, this text below here should change due to the JavaScript code here. So to demonstrate that, we can click the button, and as you can see, that text has changed. We can show that again by resetting the project and clicking again. We see the text change there. As we mentioned before, GitHub is a company that uses AsciiDoc, and you might be wondering how it uses that exactly. So let's go through a demonstration of that. So you can create a project on GitHub and initialize it with the README file. Now this is the editing section of that README file. So as you can see, this is very similar AsciiDoc format to what we've been using so far. So I have a test title here, some text, a link, and some bullets. And now we can see how that will look if we commit it. And here's our output that folks will see when they come and visit my AsciiDoc project. You have a test title, your text, bullets, link, all formatted correctly. Thank you for joining me in this presentation of AsciiDoc. Hope to see you next time. Here is the work cited for this project.